Well, well, good day, Peter. Uh, good morning to you. Uh, Jolly good morning to you. How much is the sound okay? Is the picture or the video okay? I'm sure you will let me know. Okay. I am, um, I am thoroughly sorry for Monday. The hassle was uh yeah, it was horrible. It was the second consecutive Monday uh that something went wrong with my internet. Coincidence? No idea. No idea, my dears. But here we are. Here we are. Okay. Let me bring that one up there. That. Let me bring a few things. Okay. Let's take myself out up there. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Peter, I was I was under the impression that your internet connection uh wasn't in how shall I put this, in all well, good and dandy working order, but that is, I hope, better now. So, today my beer is La Trappe. Trappist, triple. There are double, triple, and quadruple. This is a Dutch Trappist beer, light ale type drink. It says, yes, it says blonde ale with white head. Uh, this is this is one of my favorite beers when it comes to the Dutch beer world. That is uh, my favorite. I mean, Heineken, etc. That's just reindeer piss in my. Okay, Heineken, it's okay, but most others that I've tried is just basically reindeer piss. So, and this is uh, it's from Koningshoven. I'm not sure where that is in the Netherlands, but someone will probably let me know if think I'm ignorant, just blatantly ignorant. And this has 8% alcohol. I always so good, always so goddamn good. So, of course, you know who I always have here with me on my desk. It's Stefan. Oops. Whoops. Wrong. Over there. Out of it. Okay, there. Hello, Stefan. Okay, and of course, the furry and always so cuddly Bertil. There. You've seen Bertil on a number of my videos already, the recorded versions. Okay, so let's get ahead with the business. We all know who Oscar Wilde was, and if you do not, especially if you're from an English-speaking country, and you do not know who Oscar Wilde was, shame on you. And you, if you don't know who Oscar Wilde is, and you're from an English-speaking country and have received education beyond perhaps eighth or ninth grade. Oscar Wilde was an Irish writer, poet, playwright who, unfortunately, under I think it was 1868 penal code update or upgrade or shift that was added, a clause that made it illegal to basically criminalizing homosexuality. And in a court case, I just, for the love of me, I can't remember which. I could have looked it up, but just didn't. A judge said that lesbian relations are imaginary. Lesbian relations don't exist and that was some local, what we would call, these Supreme Court cases where the Supreme Court, at least in the U.S., rules in favor of one or another party in a court case on a matter. They get the ruling that binds all the state courts and the local courts, and this was similar. That it was the judge deemed or saw it fit that lesbian relations were imaginary and only in the books and all the fabulous shit. Okay, so Oscar Wilde, the controversy started in late 1894, I think, if I remember correctly. But anyway, the court case was in 1895, and he was convicted of sodomy to the maximum penalty of 2 years of hard labor, and he was even denied pen and paper. And that 2 years in prison, in a labor camp, broke his health, and he was released in May. I think it was in May, but in April, May, thereabouts, in 1897. Then he passed away a few years later in Paris. So yeah, it's sad. It really, really sad. But hey, I have something I need to check. Yes, I just had to check. Oscar Wilde died on November 25th, 1900 in France. So, and before that, that was in Paris. He fled. He was in exile for 3 years, and he died of meningitis, which meningitis is an acute inflammation in the covering of the brain, or the covering the protective membranes of the brain and the spinal cord. So yeah, and he had been sick before that. So poor, poor man. Homophobia broke one of the greatest uh, writers, playwrights, poets the English-speaking literature has ever seen. One of the best, in my opinion, and a name known to everyone. I think I'll just, before I go into the actual, beef, I'll just pop out the chat so I can see all the time if there's some. Peter, of course, can take care of it. He's got your moderator now. Anyway, the Oscar Wilde Bookshop. It was founded on November 20. Yes, Peter, homophobia ruins plenty of things. That is correct. Anyway, the Oscar Wilde Bookshop was founded on November 24th in 1967 as Oscar Wilde Memorial Bookshop, and it was founded by a man named Craig L. Rothwell, who was an American gay rights activist. An activist. It was initially, mind you, this is all in Greenwich Village in New York City. So it was initially the storefront was set up and founded first initially at 291 Mercer Street, which is close to the what is it, Stonewall Inn, etc. A few blocks away, and in 1973 it was moved to the Christopher Street, the corner of Christopher Street and Gay Street in the Greenwich Village neighborhood. And Gay Street, I had to look it up. Gay Street has nothing to do with the street being in Greenwich Village, and the Greenwich Village being a huge, a huge vibrant gay community. I had to look it up. It's not. It has nothing to do with the gay community in that area. It has to do with the colonial era of the area. It was something. I think there was a farmer or a stall or owner, who had stalls, etc. Horses, etc., and farm stuff and farm animals, etc. In that it's a curved street in New York. I looked it up. It's a short street there, curved, and it was owned by I think by a man whose last name was Gay. That at that point in English language, to my knowledge, it meant happy and cheery. So there was a cheery animal owner there in the colonial era before independence. So I had to look it up, and this is something that was fun looking up. Anyway, along the years, the name was then changed from Oscar Wilde Memorial Bookshop to Oscar Wilde Bookshop just abbreviate it, I think. It was closed, unfortunately, um, on March 29th, 2009. But it was still there for over 40 years, which is quite a significant amount of time. So anyway, and reasons that were cited for the for for closing the store was the Great Recession. The when stock market etc. collapsed in and around 2007 to 2009, as well as too extreme competition with online bookstores, which has uh, been quite uh, quite an issue, I would assume, with brick and mortar traditional bookstores. Anyway, going back to that a bit later. Um, yeah, global financial crisis. Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you very much. Um, anyway, uh, Rodwell, Craig L. Rodwell was a member and vice chair of Mattachine Society, which it was, and I think it's not functional anymore that I could tell. It was an early American uh, gay rights organization found in 1950. Uh, wished to make the founding idea was, according to his wishes, what he was cited later, that to make the Mattachines the society, um, a gay and lesbian rights association or organization, more visible. And that was the reason that he wanted to position the storefront in Greenwich Village to begin with, because even at that point, uh, it was a huge, vibrant gay community in Greenwich Village, New York City. Uh, and according to books by Tobin/Wicker and Downs, he Rodwell is cited to have said, "I was trying to get the Mattachine Society to be out dealing with the people instead of sitting in an office." Well said, man. Um, we even looked at a few storefronts. I wanted the society to set up a combination bookstore, counseling service, uh, counseling services, fundraising headquarters, and office. The main thing was to be out on the streets. Well said. And this is this kind of um activism I would still like to see more. I would still like to see. And very early on, a few months after he started the shop on November 24th, 1967, he started a monthly newsletter out of the shop. Uh, as of March of 1968, it was called Hymnal. That is spelled Hymnal. So you can if you wish, you can go and look that up. So all good must come to an end. In March of 1993, the bookshop was sold to Bill Offenbaker. Uh, March 93. That would have been 3 months before uh, Rothwell died um, in June 1993. He died of stomach cancer. There are a variety of types of those. I but I couldn't find which type. Uh, not that it would have mattered anyway in this case. Anyway, and in June of 1996, that would have been 3 years after Rodwell died. Offenbaker sold it to Larry Lingle, and in January of 2003, the Oscar Wilde Bookshop was Lingle had announced financial difficulties. No surprise there. And the shop was sold to a man named Deacon McCubbin, who owned the Lambda Rising bookstores, which was, as I understand it, a chain of gay bookstores, basically. Let's get. Where do I have this there? Okay. Oops. Wrong one. That is here. Yes. So McCubbin of Lambda Rising bookstores. He bought it in 2000. In early 2003, just to prevent the historically significant bookstore to go from closing. And The Advocate, which is an American LGBT interested magazine, printed every 2 months and available for subscription. They ran a story on the scheduled closing, failing to note that the founder, actually they made a huge mistake, that the founder was actually Craig Rothwell, who I mentioned, and and then and then they claimed that the founder was the first manager and Rothwell's partner, Fred Sargent. And in '06, it was purchased by the longtime manager, Kim Brinster. And Rothwell, according to what I could find, um, he hang on. Yeah, according to Downs again, which I quoted on earlier, he considered himself as a person who, from the age of 13, set out to help to change the world's view of gay people, which he did in many, many ways. And he also, in the Tobin Wicker book Gay Crusaders, page 65, as well as in the Downs book of 69, um, said, I want Rodwell saying how, how choosing with the name. I wanted a name that would tell what the shop was about. So I tried to think of the most prominent person whose name I could use, who is most readily identifiable as homosexual by most people. Someone who's sort of a pseudo martyr, and Oscar Wilde was the most obvious at the time. Note that it hadn't been long before it was had been a lot shorter time since Oscar Wilde died, so he called it the store originally um, the Oscar Wilde Memorial Bookshop. So, and he strictly refused to sell pornography in the shop because he wanted to concentrate on prose and and the likes of Oscar Wilde, what Oscar Wilde wrote. I'm not sure what the term is in English, but what poetry, plays, books, prose, etc. What is called in English? Um, but yeah, Peter, you're right. Books, unfortunately, Peter Peter says, unfortunately, books aren't as popular these days. Uh, Paper books, like printed books. Yes, fine literature. Peter says fine literature. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, fine literature is the word. He so the so it was the point from Rodwell to concentrate on fine literature, not pornography. We have, the men's magazines that were circulating at the time. Okay, Peter, any questions at this point, perhaps? I think, well, you can take it's just the two of us right now, but um, I think we can concentrate on more of the discussion at this point on the subject. Uh, in so as I've mentioned, I'm not a native English speaker. I've always studied English as the second language, the L2. So I've never read Oscar Wilde in English, or nor would I have had to even attempt that sort of thing. Uh, Peter, I think if I remember correctly, you're from Australia. How in your time, how much Oscar Wilde would you have been reading? This would have been probably some few decades ago now, but how much would it have been the amount of Oscar Wilde that you would have been exposed to? Um, that you would have wasn't studied much in Aussie, right? Okay, we have. I think, do we have another viewer here? I think the counter, at least for me, says two, but not sure. Not sure. Okay. Uh, we I've never really I haven't been really familiar with um, English fine literature um, until my adult life, for the most part. Of course, I was familiar with the original English. Uh, Peter says he was more an American and English writer. We're talking about Oscar Wilde. Yes, I'm aware that his style was more towards that direction. Yeah. By the way, just curious, just out of curiosity, I came across I came across how shall I put this? Um, a song or a Finnish folk tune, if you wish. I was familiar with this tune, but when I read the lyrics, I could hardly understand anything, even though it wasn't that old. The lyrics were written in 1928, but it was in a dialect that I wasn't familiar with. Even though Finland isn't all that big country, I think Finland is like a third of the land area of Australia. So, which I could, of course, check. Uh, okay, I can always look it up as okay. By the way, just okay. Uh, Finland total area of 338,455 square kilometers, whereas Australia is 7.7,692,024 square kilometers. So that's 10 times over 10 times bigger in land area. And still we have these dialects that in that I kind of as someone who was born and has lived I've lived most of my life in southern Finland, and I was born in Helsinki, where I live now, our capital. But still, I don't have to go all that far. Maybe just 400 kilometers away, 300, 400 kilometers away, and there are people who I just cannot understand. So that's weird. But largest island or smallest continent? Actually, as far as I'm aware of, Australia is a continent. Uh, yeah, it's yeah, as far as I can tell. Yes, according to Wikipedia, it's Australia is the Australian continent. It's the oldest, flattest, and the driest inhabited continent. Yeah, and with least fertile soils. There you go. Yeah, it depends on how you look at it. That is correct. Um, I'd love to go to Australia someday, and I've talked about it with my partner that we might actually go to Australia one day. But who knows? By the way, if this stuff, Peter, if this stuff is available in Australia, I highly suggest um, trying it. If this is available in Australia and you drink alcohol, I highly recommend. And I can give you a list of the beers I've been drinking on when I've been live streaming. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Peter. I think I have a contact in Sydney area, and they have invited invited me for a visit someday. So, if you are located in the somewhere in Sydney area or somewhere in the East Coast, who knows? By the way, would that be called a fan meet and greet? I don't know. If you consider me, if you consider yourself a fan. Anyway, at this point, I prefer tropical Queensland. It's around. It's yeah. I suck at Australian geography. I'm just trying to figure out where the hell Sydney is. Sorry, Gold Coast. It's in New South Wales. No, it's ah it's there. Okay, Gold Coast, Queensland. Okay, who knows if we ever choose to visit that part of Australia? Maybe I'll keep it a surprise. So, for those watching as a replay, please check the links in the description box. You'll find my playlist links. You'll find Peter says I'm higher than Gold Coast. Okay. Anyway, check the links in the description. You've got playlists, you've got my PayPal, Patreon, email, Discord servers, you name it, all is there. And Peter has already liked and subscribed. Be like him, like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more content like this and more content like you've seen in my previous videos. Go check them out as well. And I'm also in the group effort called Premiere Thursday. I highly recommend checking those out. I've had, I think, 3, if my memory serves me well. It's always good not to remember what you've done. Yes, 4 Premiere Thursday videos are available. As of right now, I've got the first one was Public Universal Friend. And I had Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, or STAR. Then I had Sophie Labelle, a French Canadian, a Quebecois cartoonist, writer, activist. And then last time I had it, I made a video on the Premiere Thursday list, was a viewer's letter. regarding the Kings and the Kinsey scale. That was a that was a particularly interesting thing. Uh, Very very interesting video to make. I mean, really interesting, super interesting. I think. Uh, yeah. Anyway, and by the way, it has been a while before since I've reminded reminded people that I've actually issued a challenge for a debate regarding trans people in sports, especially trans people in sports. I have the stand that yes, transgender people should be allowed to compete in the gendered categories consistent with their reassigned identified gender. And then of course the whether or not the conversion so-called conversion treatments should be legal, I or banned. My stand is that they should those that absolute bullshit, that hurtful shit should be banned. But I've been waiting. I've been waiting. And more. I've had a few who have shown interest, but when the when the when it really came down to that, they just chicken chickened out. They were just meh, 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 and then they disappeared. Yeah. Anyway, this I think would be good for today. I love my soundboard here. I think for the next time, for the next time live show, I think I'll get some actual more sounds and just uh, yeah. Peter says I would like to see mixed genders in all sports. Yes, why not? Uh, I will save my arguments for the debate. Because otherwise we'd be here tomorrow, and that's not the point for today. Okay, that is a good idea, I think. In many sports, but in some not. Uh, in many sports, but in others not so much. Okay, and by the way, next Monday, Monday, which is November 15th, will not be a live show. It will not be a live show because simply because it's impossible due to my working schedules. That way, I wouldn't get there would be no way I could get enough sleep to go through the following day because just content warning, foul language. I've been called a shithead. I've been told to fuck off, piss off, uh, keep your shit, fuck you, fuck, go fuck yourself. I'll get you fired. I'll get you a written warning. Uh, yeah, and to go fuck yourself. Uh, yeah, that's been how it is. Many days of more than one day a week. Uh, I get told these things, but this, but sometimes people just can't help themselves. But luckily, our boss can handle it. She's a tough lady. Anyway, it's Monday, no live show. Next Friday, live show. There will be an extra live show next week because it's the transgender day of remembrance, the T door, which is next week Saturday. More information to follow later on regarding that regarding a video that day. But there is one coming. Don't worry. So there will be most likely there will be. I won't promise. I think I will tell you on the video on Monday. Okay, and Peter, good. I say good night. It's or good day, good morning, whatever it is for you. I think it's good. Excuse me. I think it's good morning for you. Okay, and I will see you next time.